I don't know exactly when it happened, but it was probably back in the mid-2000s, Jim, where they actually added a classification in our classifications of serial killer cases. Remember about when that was, Jim? Was that 2005?
The 2000s, yeah, I forget the exact date, and it did give the FBI more broad investigative powers. We didn't have to wait just to be called in by local police to help that, which we would gladly do back then. And again, in the early days with this case, that's all the FBI's involvement was. Was it domestic police cooperation, Ray? That's how
The DPC, yeah.
It would come under any category, but they'd have to ask us in, and then we could take over not take over, but we could work in conjunction with them from there. But
Right.
now with their own serial killer classification, when I left, where I was about 250 separate classifications of what the FBI does.
The serial killer was like 306, 307,
Okay,
308,
you left
309.
after I did. So,
We're over 300. Yeah, I did. I left about 5
some people
years
say
after
the
that.
FBI has too many
Yes.
classifications and crimes they work, but that's another story. So yeah, that definitely made a difference in that regard, adding that classification for us to do things. But Kristen, let me add here and follow up with what Ray was saying. And this sounds like common sense, but I really learned this anecdotally and experientially through a number of cases of all different ilk I've worked over the years, from bank robberies to, in fact, serial rape cases to even serial killer cases. And that is the earliest and first crime, again, whatever it may be in this serial case, is the one that will probably leave the most evidence or be most reflective / indicative of the persona, the profile of the individual at hand. And we may have discussed some of this before.
Mm-hmm.
And in rape cases, it's tough because, as we know, some women don't always report rapes. And certainly in the past, there were some legitimate reasons for not doing that. And I'm not talking about boyfriend rapes. They're bad enough as it is if it is classified as a rape, a criminal activity, but certainly even stranger rapes. And Ray, we heard some of that in the Center City rapist case issues going back in the summertime, that 20-part series we did last year. But if in fact the earliest rape murder, and Kristen, of all the ones you described, what's the earliest one date-wise? They obviously would, I believe, predate Cindy and Becky's murder. The one in North Carolina, when did that occur?
No, Kathy and Becky's was the earliest. Amber
Those were the
Lundgren is
earliest.
1997. So Kathy and Becky are the first.
All right. Well, 39 years later, some of the mistakes he made with that case through DNA analysis, which wasn't even thought of back then, came through. Okay, I thought some of these cases may have predated those. But let me just say this up front. I wouldn't be surprised if other cases did. We just may not know.
Nor would we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim, we agree. And there's even a case from 85, which would be the year before Kathy and Becky's murder, the murder up in the Rappahannock area of a woman named Mary Keyser Harding. And interestingly, Wilmer's older brother, William Keith Wilmer, who went by his middle name, was a strong suspect in this 1985 murder, which is actually closer to the Lancaster County area of Virginia where the Wilmer family is from. Another man was convicted of that murder, but after 31 years in jail, the Innocence Project was able to prove that this man, Emerson Stevens, was not responsible for Mary Keyser Harding's murder, and that interestingly, Keith Wilmer, Alan's older brother, is actually on the short list of suspects. Unfortunately, he also died recently in April 2025. So we both think that it's quite possible there may be additional rapes and homicides that are associated with the Wilmers, plural, that may predate Kathy and Becky's murders.